Hello, everybody. This is Priscilla from Quantum Witch Cafe. Welcome back. I know that I have spread out the episodes quite a bit since I started. You guys know that I am, I'm like I'm with the kids by myself all the time. So, which I probably shouldn't say online, but you know, I have a ghost. I'll just sick the demons and ghosts after them. Anyways, on that note, I have Charm City Paranormal here tonight, a local Baltimore team. And we're going to get into everything that they do. But before that happens, if you're listening later, thank you so much for coming. This is, your safe place to talk about anything paranormal, fringe, UFO, UAPs if you're fancy, and basically anything that you wouldn't talk to your conservative aunt at the dinner table with. So, no holds barred, guys. You're allowed to say whatever you want. I'm not getting paid to do this. This is just fun. And this is Charm City Paranormal. I want you guys to introduce yourself and sort of give like a bio of like who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it.
Sure. So my name is Mike. I created Charm City Paranormal. I started it in May of 2020. It was more or less just a hobby. It was a project to pass the time. I had a really profound, life-changing experience in an asylum that I originally went to go shoot photography in, and it wouldn't be until about a year and a half after I started the project that things would change and I would start to take it a lot more seriously and change my approach in creation and investigating. And it's just been that ever since. Um, just trying to create quality, engaging, authentic investigations.
And I'm David. So I'm a chef outside of being a paranormal investigator. But I kind of just during COVID started doing some urban exploring as well, and went to a same as old asylum, and had something happen that I just was like, I have no clue what I just experienced. So that kind of struck my interest in the paranormal. Not that I wasn't already interested anyway, because it's a very cool thing. But from there, I met Mike doing an investigation at another location, and kind of just spun things off from there. Just kept going.
Very cool. Yeah, it's always that triggering event, right? Even if you have the existing interest in it, that kind of like plunges people into like, I have to know more. And that's with anybody that has experienced anything paranormal, from UFOs to spirits, anything stranger than that or in between all that. So, my next question, well, first I'm going to tell you, like, I've been following your page since I moved to Baltimore because it's always been a goal to follow local people that are doing UFO investigations or paranormal investigations in general. So I started following you guys when I moved here and was automatically just like in love with your page. The photography in it is just so like it's like dark and ethereal, and just you really are able to capture things that most eyes cannot capture. So I don't know which one. Are
Thank
you
you.
the one that does it, Mike? The
Yeah, I do
photography.
all the photography.
Okay, very cool. And then your YouTube channel is you guys, I have their website in the description if you're curious. But your YouTube channel, it's I'd rather watch that than any other overproduced travel
Totally.
channel nonsense. You know what I mean? So you guys keep it real and you are great to watch, and you have just like your cinematography is great. Do you use a drone for a lot of your footage?
Yeah,
Oh, it's so
it's sort of the
beautiful.
signature of the channel at this point.
Yeah, really, it's beautiful too because it's I was in Colombia doing a UFO documentary, and one of the guys, shout out Benny, had the drone, and the footage that he was able to get and the other guy was able to get, Walter, with their drones, was just like you don't see a lot of people doing that. You guys are zooming into these haunted locations, and you have like I don't know what, like sort of like, I don't know how you do it, but everything looks uniform. It's just like dark and like it's sexy. It's very sexy. You guys
A
got to go
lot of
check
that actually
it out.
sort of is like a process that gets developed over time. Like when I started doing all this stuff, I had no idea what I was doing. Like photography, videography, I had zero experience when I started the channel in May. And over time, I just kind of figured out what works and what doesn't. And yeah, I just try to constantly create something that is engaging and authentic. And I guess over time you refine that process and you learn how to tell a story through the vision of the location. And I think that's really important that a lot of channels or just content with the paranormal in general seem to be lacking. Just kind of jump straight into it, which is fine. I mean, people like that and it works. But I really want you to feel like you're there when you go on it or when you watch one of these investigations. And I hope that's what I'm doing. I hope it feels like that.
Yes, I'm very jealous. I was just telling them that I'm so jealous. Like, I wish I was like doing what they were doing because it's just so cool. Like, some of it, when you have that like thirst for like the creepy shit, like it doesn't go away. Like you just want to be in it, and it's not. People think it's weird, but it's all right. You wouldn't be able to see
It takes one like good experience, and it just draws you in for the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and there's so many beautiful places out here that have spirits, right? So you guys kind of have like a big pick.
Oh yeah.
You go other places too. So locally in Baltimore, what is like kind of your favorite spot that you've been to? Like what was the spot that kept you doing this? You know what I mean? Because you've been to a lot of different places. If people look at your different posts on Instagram and your different videos on your YouTube, you guys are always somewhere. So moving from the local spots, what in Baltimore sort of made you like keep doing it? Because you're drawn in, you get a cool experience and you want to go investigate, but there's always like that factor that's like, I can't stop doing this.
I think there's a few places in Baltimore that really just kind of keep your, I guess, around Baltimore that really keep your attention just racing all over the place. And, it's a few of the abandoned asylums in the area in particular. And then there's the Hell House Altar, which is a really cool spot. It's just a really cool, you see all the different graffiti going on, but the presence that you feel when you go to some of these places is just unlike some of the places, even, we mentioned Waverly Hills. It's just, it's completely, the feelings that you get here are just the same as that. And it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world. So,
yeah. And for me, I like the history here is just so rich and deep. It goes back late 1500s, early 1600s. And it's one of the most geographically diverse states in the country. I mean, you have ocean, plains, and mountain all within like a 2-hour stretch. And there's just so much history in between all that. For me personally, hi Jordan. For me personally, it'd have to be Forest Haven. That's where I got my start. That's where I had my very first encounter, where I saw the footprints and something ran me out of the building. And I've been there, like 50 times now at this point, 50, 60 times at least. And I'm very, very familiar with everything that goes on there. I know them, they know me. And even though I've been there so many times and it's the same place every time I go, the experience is never the same. You never get the same experience twice with that place.
Even from building to building.
Yeah, building to building. I mean, the place is 820 acres.
Wow.
And there's 16 buildings that are still vacant on the property. And each one holds just so much history and so many stories. It's just like an endless pursuit. You could go to that place forever until it completely falls to the ground, and you always get something from it. So
it'll probably always be different too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I meet a lot of people that really kind of like almost like fall in love with one place. It sounds, I guess a romanticized thing, but like it's like Waverly, for example. I knew people that lived in Kentucky that were just like addicted to the place. You know what I mean? So, and I could see that because even I'm all the way over here now, and I'm like, I want to go back. Like you find a place and you just want to go back. But that's a huge place. It's like a playground for ghost hunter or paranormal investigator. I don't like the term ghost hunter, but how do you guys feel about that term? It's kind of like catchy, like when you tell people, you know what I mean? Like
each their own. I mean, I think the difference between the two, one wants just evidence and the other wants to understand why the evidence happens. So
Yeah, I normally use the term ghost investigator, not ghost hunter.
Yeah, it sounds very theatrical to me. I mean, other
Yeah,
people, but then it also sounds cool. Like it'd be cool to
it
be like,
does.
I'm a ghost hunter. You know what I mean? But then I was like, I'm too respectful after meeting so many spirits. I'm just like, I'm not gonna hunt you. I don't even know what that means. So I want to talk about some questions that people always ask, like if I'm doing like I've never been on a team, but I do like I go to public ones whenever I can, right? Because it's fun and spooky places are fun. So a lot of people are worried about getting like hitchhikers or attachments. Has that happened to either of you? Have you ever had something like follow you home, whether it be an energy or a being?
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
time. I would say every investigation at this point.
really.
Yeah, it's a lot more common than people think, and I don't think it's so much spirits or attachments of like sentient things. It could just be energy
Okay.
or emotions being picked up from one place to another. Um, I do believe that some people are more receptive to it than others. Some people might not pick up anything at all. Other people will walk into a building and start crying. I think it really just depends on the person. For us personally, we're both very sensitive to this stuff and we're very in tune with what's going on around us at all times. So we're a lot more susceptible to picking things up. And I think that can develop over time with anybody that does this. It's not, I don't think there's like a special exception to that because I didn't have any interest in this when I started doing it prior. Like no TV shows, no movies, nothing. I was in the IT world, so I had my bubble. And then I got
Interesting.
pulled into this, and then over time, the more I opened up to it, it sort of developed into this, I guess, sense, just being able to feel and sense what's going on around me. Not psychic, but just kind of understanding the energy in the room.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think people are very susceptible to it, and others aren't. We pick stuff up all the time.
Yeah. I mean, even as much as even if it's not even personally like myself or like my personal being, sometimes it's the equipment that I take with me. I always try to take in the right precautions when I get to a place and when I leave. But for example, the other day I was walking past my equipment case and I just like walked past and I felt this energy off of my equipment case, which sounds crazy, but I felt it and I was like, oh, maybe I need to do something about this before it escalates or something like that. So same thing, being a little bit more in tune. I feel like we pick on more of the energies than the actual attachments of a physical spirit or something. Me personally.
That makes sense. Energy is very sticky. Like I'm a witch and a bunch of other things. So like I understand like it's almost like gum sometimes. Like and it might not be sentient, but it might be also. So most people I think are afraid of like the sentient following home,
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it can definitely happen, but more often than not, I think it's just like residual stuff that people are picking up. And if people are that worried about it, if you're that concerned with bringing things home, and if you have kids or loved ones, whatever, that you're afraid of exposing that stuff to, then probably just shouldn't do it at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, just me personally, like if you're that curious about it, then you have to kind of accept that that's going to come with it. There are ways to protect yourself. If anybody watching this knows how to properly, hit me up because I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you
But,
tried anything? Like, do you do?
oh, yeah, absolutely. I wear it. I cleanse, grounding, personal prayer, all that stuff. It's just,
Wow.
it's definitely a more complicated situation with us that it would take like a whole nother podcast to explain.
Now you have my weirdness peaked.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have a part two, guys, to talk about that. That's so.
Yeah, I'm down.
You can't just say something like that. We're having a part two. We'll do like the basic stuff, and then I'll just like harass you guys to get you back on and talk about all that because that is like I'm a witch. Like I want to know every little weirdness that's happening. So, but we will keep it on track today, guys. I'm gonna give a quick minute. For a second, I'm gonna say hi to people inside the chat. I see Ghostly. She says you're. She's the one that said Tall King. Okay,
Yeah.
we got the Tall King.
Hello.
We got another one, Lynn's.
Hi, Lens.
Hey guys.
I'm assuming that they are your people because I haven't seen them before.
This is Jordan's hoodie, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. There was a hoodie comment earlier, so that explains it. I see Kat. Hello, hello. Mindfort. Hello, Sylvain. Thank you for coming back, everybody. Go share this so more people can join us. Sorry, I'm not good. I'm supposed to say at the beginning, but I'm not that guy. I try to be because I need to be. Anyways, what about equipment? Like equipment wise, what do you guys bring with you? Sorry, I just took out this microphone. So what sort of equipment? We kind of like were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but what is like your must-haves for an investigation? Like you guys are in a haunted location right now, which is super cool. I've never had anybody do that. So
very active in here, by the way. Sorry, I'm not. I feel like I'm getting really distracted at times, but it's just there's so much going on around us right now.
Yeah.
Well, I've even thought that I kind of like was seeing some. So because I'm sensitive too, so like I was like, I'm wondering if things are gonna like cut out at some point too because of the. Anytime somebody's in a haunted place, something weird happens when we're recording, even if it's not a paranormal investigation team. So, yeah, it definitely looks active there. So, what did you bring? What did you bring? Where? I guess you can't say where you are because you're going to probably put that out later. But what did you bring to this location that you're at?
Well, we have, we pretty much have all the same stuff that we normally bring, you know, our cameras, of course, our, voice recorders. We have a few new pieces of equipment, which is really great. We have the, Chatterguys. Jesus, I don't know why I couldn't.
It's all right. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, I was like, geez. Really cool new piece of equipment.
Thing on your website, the little.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's like a little round thing if you're listening to audio. So.
And then
I had it on me. I could show you.
One of my personal favorites, the cat balls.
Cat
one of those. This man's got like 15 of them.
He just orders bulk cat balls.
I'm down to the cat.
Okay.
But I keep a high stock on those.
You gotta get more.
Yeah.
You lose them easily because they're so little.
Yeah, they're easy to bring with you, and it's such a simple device, but at the same time, it's extremely accurate. Where I've taken it to I've done multiple investigations before in a row and not got a single hit on the cat ball. And then there's other nights where we feel like we're playing with a child or something like that, like Harry in the farmhouse. He loved the cat ball.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And yeah, cat ball.
So we've got a tall king and a cat ball king. What the duo?
Yeah, that's me.
Sorry, I like it. Yeah, that's the only thing I don't have, which is kind of silly because like I feel like that is like one of the first things you should get. Yeah, I just kind of was like one I kind of got in trouble for. Like I definitely got in trouble for getting the FLIR. Because my husband was like working on his truck. I'm like, hey, can I get this? And he's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, how much was that thing? But I have a FLIR now, and he didn't divorce me, so. But I don't know that it was really funny. Not to him. Anyways, I hope he's not listening to this. I just won't put it on Spotify. Just kidding.
Post.
We're gonna get that. We're going to post it everywhere. So what is your most reliable piece of equipment? Like, which one are you like, okay, if this thing goes off, I'm losing my mind. Like, but you guys, a lot of people I talk to are kind of like one or the other. You might be one of the first people I've talked to that are like, you admit that you have these like kind of like, clairsentient abilities and a ability to like sense things and, sorry, I thought I saw something about you guys are tripping me out. Okay, so.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you seeing stuff like in this? Maybe?
The other mirror, the little mirror. Behind, to your right.
This one?
Yeah. The other one. Yeah. So, you guys, like if something, is there one specifically that you're like, if this thing goes off, besides cat balls, then it's a wrap. Like we're gonna get something cool.
Me personally, the REM pod, I just like the different lights and the radius that's set off because you can designate those colors to different questions like yes, no, maybe.
For sure.
You can make this color light up if you're a man or a woman, trying to establish some sort of uh, traits to whatever spirit is there. And they're very easy to set off, like cause false positives with
Right.
cell phones, live streams, walkie talkies, things like that. But if you're aware of that kind of stuff, you can easily prevent it. And it's got a really good, excuse me, it's got a really good false positive like rating as far as
Okay.
being able to avoid them if you know like what sets them
Right.
off.
And it has a different radius you can set on it as well. Right? So
Yeah.
that definitely helps. In Waverly, like we had one like at the smallest wave, the smallest radius, like in like one of the nursing rooms where they had like the patients. And as we're asking questions, we're getting like responses. My friend had like this like one of the word bank things, which people don't like, but this was one of the ones that people do like. So she had that, and then, but it was like in conjunction with the REM pod going off, and I was just like, we were there forever just talking to the spirit because I mean, she was very responsive with us. So that's
Yeah,
always
once you get it going, like once it starts, it's so hard to stop and walk away.
yeah, for sure. So REM pod, definitely another one. I actually asked for that one for my birthday, so I didn't get in trouble for that one. But I have
Nice.
that too. I love it. It's so cool. But what also like so what as far as kind of like more woo devices, do you guys bring anything like pendulums, Ouija boards, that sort of stuff? Are you guys I don't
No,
mess with Ouija board people?
it's not even really being against it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not
just
Okay.
against it.
I've tried to use them at locations. I've put serious intent and honesty into trying to use it and get
Okay.
it to work. And I've gotten some like weird physical feelings as a result of using them, but
Oh,
nothing substantial.
okay.
And it's just one less thing to kind of eliminate from the investigation
Right.
because there's so much stuff that you already have to do, and it's setting up for shots. Like if we're making a video, we have to set up angles and do everything else. And I feel like trying to use the technology and the equipment and metaphysical stuff on top of it, it's just like we get better results with the tech. We're just
Yeah.
gonna stick to the tech.
Yeah, and
Very
plus, we're trying to be as real as we possibly can and put out the best evidence that we possibly can. And it's very easily to think someone has like a human manipulation with that, and at least that's something that we can control by using our equipment outside of that. So
Yeah,
for me,
like moving the planchette or
Yeah.
trying to
Mhm.
hold dowsing rods. Like there's just all the stuff has faults. I mean, like you can't, nothing's foolproof. It's just I think using metaphysical stuff is just kind of past it at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of cool stuff to play with besides that. So
Yeah.
So what was the place that you've been to that you won't go back to? Like what is a place where you're like that place is either like I don't want to say evil because I'm weird with words, but I mean very like scary, low vibrational, or I guess evil. Have you been to a place like that where you're just like I am not gonna go back there? That was too much, or the energy was too heavy.
I don't think that I've came to a place yet personally that I feel that I wouldn't go back to because it's what I'm here for. I'm trying to get the best evidence possible in what any way we really need to get it. Um, I think if I had to pick a place that was closest to feeling the what you're talking about, the evil, the heaviness and
Nope. Yeah.
everything, I would say Madison Seminary. I think the feelings and the sounds and the sights that you see in that place uh, were extremely intense. And if you were to go there like as a beginning investigator, you might not come back. But now that we're a few years into it and a little bit more experienced, I feel like we knew how to handle it. But even then, it was a lot.
And I will say, I just want to add to that Madison Seminary. I've been working with David for about a year at that point, and we had done a lot of investigations together in that year. and that is the only place that I've ever seen David like truly messed with, just like physically, mentally, emotionally. I kept asking every hour or two. I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you good? Are you sure?"
Yeah.
It was just like, "Yeah, yeah," and I'm like, "You don't look okay. Are you sure you're okay?" And I haven't. I'm normally like he can hold his own. He's good.
Yeah.
He's a great investigator. He's a solid dude. Very sound mind. But like that was the one night I'm like, damn, David's not okay.
Yeah, it was an intense night.
Yeah, dude.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I guess for me, the only place that comes that close would be the Axe House. Um, I was way too new to this stuff to go there when I went there. It was like first year into investigating. I was maybe one of 5 or 6 investigations that I had ever done. Like the second time I'd ever rented a location. We full sent it. We drove 25 hours across the country, and it was Ethan and I, Wolf Paranormal, and I didn't know anything about the paranormal. I didn't know what to expect. I had like never been touched. I had never really seen anything. Barely got device responses. I was like brand new to this stuff, and I wanted to go to Edinburgh Manor because I saw it on YouTube, and Edinburgh Manor's haunted as shit. And Ethan was like, "Hey, Max House is 2-3 hours west of there. Do you want to go there?" And I had never even. I think I may have heard of the place once, but I didn't know anything about it. I looked it up. I was like, "Ish, okay, yeah, sure." And I'll just say that we drove 25 hours across the country with every intent to sleep in that house. And by 2:30 a.m., we were packing up all of our gear and like running out through a storm to go get a hotel. Yeah, so I haven't experienced anything like that since. I've been to probably like 30 places since then. And yeah, Axe House is, I think that place is evil. I don't think it has anything to do with like the killer or anything like that. I think whatever is there maybe influenced whoever the killer was to do what he did, but it's like tied to the land. That place is
very interesting.
screwed.
Wow. Yeah, people don't talk about that sometimes, like it's not always like the house. Sometimes it's something that was there before the house. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
there's actually out here, oddly enough, a haunted Ulta, like the makeup and hair place.
Really.
I went and she was just, I forget how it came up, but she's like, it's haunted here. So we started. Yes, I showed up next time with a bunch of toys because we were like, we're gonna do this. She's like, oh gosh, we're gonna scare like she wasn't afraid. I thought we were gonna scare the other people. This last time we scared the other people because I brought too many things out, I think, but it was fun. But that place is definitely probably on something. I don't think that Ulta itself is haunted, but I think whatever was there before. Have you guys had any like true what you would call maybe demonic experiences?
No. Um,
Yeah, I don't think so.
Definitely, I mean, negative,
Yeah.
heavy, scary, all the things that could be considered demonic or be perceived as demonic. But no, I think the closest thing that came to being demonic was the Axe House, honestly. I truly think that whatever is there is not human. I'm not going to say that it's a demon because I don't know for sure. Maybe a second visit, but no.
Yeah, I think I recently did the Monroe House, and I think for me that was probably the closest I've got to something. I feel like I said, I don't think I've experienced a demon. I felt it was like a clash of good versus evil, like some angry spirits and some happy spirits. I felt like it was just a clash of like who has more power in this house. Um, but I didn't, it's called the Monroe Demon House sometime, but I didn't experience that personally.
Yeah, I guess it would be like, how do you even like ask that? Like,
Yeah.
you seem like a dick. Are you a demon? And like, so what do you guys do when you're in that situation? Like, you're afraid. There's some like heavy, dark entity that makes you feel afraid. How do you rein in your fear? Because in a lot of experiences with like mean or naughty, evil entities I've had, I've just had to like keep my fear in check, and it seems to kind of like back them off a little. But what do you guys do when you're in a situation like that? Like you said, you were worried about him at that one place. How did you, being the more like freaked out one, how did you like rein that in and like power through the night?
Yeah, I think it really it's just the will to keep going. And for me as an investigator, it's kind of I want it to happen, and so I just if I'm scared, I'm gonna start seeing things that might not actually be there. My senses might get messed up, so I just try to hone it in as much as I can and just stay level headed, kind of. But yeah,
Excuse me, sorry. There's just, like I said, there's a lot going on right now.
You guys are like, I want to hang up now so I can investigate.
No, I'm not in a rush. We've already been here once before. It's just like every time I look up, something's going on.
Yeah, it definitely has like an eerie vibe there, and I'm not just saying that because I know it's haunted. Like I feel like older places generally are going to look a little creepy, but like I really can tell. Like if people don't think
This
you can
place was
see stuff
built
virtually.
in 1781.
Yeah.
1781 was the original
It's amazing.
construction of this place. And it's a telescope house, so it just keeps going. Like they added additions to it, and when you look at it from the outside, it looks like an expanded telescope.
Very cool.
I guess for me, it just boils down to mindset and your intention when you go into this. And I think because of the intentions that I have and what I'm seeking when I go out and investigate, I know I'm not really going to get anything super malicious or angry. You attract what you want. And if you want evil stuff and you want anger and you want demons and stuff for sensationalizing or causing fear, then you're going to get that. But we don't want that stuff. We want to connect with spirits or energies that are still here, that have a story that they want to tell, that they may not have been able to get out while they were alive, or maybe they're looking for help. And because we put that intention in and that's what we're looking for, oftentimes that's what we get. If there ever is an instance where I feel like something oppressive or angry or overwhelming is in the space, I usually just try to ground myself and remember that I'm safe, that whatever is here can't hurt me, and when I leave, it's gone, and so am I. And I mean, realistically, how many times have you been physically hurt doing this? Excuse me.
I haven't personally.
I've been scratched once, and that was at home. So
that was my next question.
you just kind of you get over it after a while.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the whole like just calling you're calling yourself back, because a lot of this is like if it is an entity that is like less than savory, sometimes they will like try to mess with your head. So I think that that's very smart of you to just kind of just be like, okay, I'm here, I'm fine. Like, most times people do not get physically hurt unless they're really like the whole provocation thing is just so like, these are people. Do you know what I mean? Like the spirits are people. Why would you do that? I wouldn't do that to anybody. And there was people even at Waverly that night just trying to do that, even though they say don't do that. So, I don't know why I thought I was muted for a second. Okay, it's late. So yeah, I don't like when people are disrespectful, and it sounds like you're very respectful to the spirits that are there. Have you ever really kind of had a communication with a spirit that has like changed you in any way, or kind of like maybe had like an emotional effect on you?
Oh yeah. I don't know how much of the channel you've watched or if you've seen Forest Haven yet, but anybody listening to this that hasn't seen Forest Haven probably would start there, because that's where most of Charm City Paranormal comes from, and it's how I got to where I am today. There's a little girl that was there. Her name was Clarabelle Braxton, and she essentially led us to her bed just randomly one night while we went there to investigate. We were in her building, and the K2 spiked, and I got the idea to show me where you are. I want you to light this up if I'm going the right way. If you can tell us where your room is or where you'd like us to be, we'll go over there and talk to you. And we were 500-600 feet east, like on the far east side of the building at the entrance. And her bed is way off to the right, like back to the right. You have to go down 3 hallways, make a left, make 2 rights. Her bed is way like tucked away. You can't just like you just have to walk across it. You're not going to find it. And she led us to her bed alongside 2 other patients. Ended up establishing like a relationship with her. Ethan and I both, we would go there and visit her every single investigation. Initially, when we went to go film Forest Haven, we wanted to cover every building on the property because there's so much there. But we just got into a routine of going to see Clarabelle because we got so much activity from her every time we went. 3, 4, 5 devices going off all at the same time to questions very intelligently. And one day she up and left and she came home with me and I didn't know it for like a whole year. And I went and got a reading for the first time, I would say 14 months after she ended up following me home. And the lady who did the reading told me about her and told me what I needed to do to help her. And then 2 mediums that were starting up a podcast on, I guess, Spotify and Twitter and stuff, they had followed my page and I didn't know them. I just, saw that they were doing a podcast, followed them back, shared some of their stuff. They had this post come up saying that if you share this and win, we'll give you a free reading. And I didn't think anything of it. I just shared it because I wanted to, spread the word about their podcast. And I ended up winning. They gave me a reading, a remote reading, also confirmed Clarabelle, confirmed how old she was, what she looked like, all this stuff. I ended up helping her cross over. And that basically set the course for all of Charm City Paranormal. But what's really amazing is that happened 2 years ago. And those ladies, I only know what one of them looks like. Like the other one, I don't even know what she looks like. She has like a drawing of her, like a cartoon picture. So I just had to go off of what they were telling me from meeting them for the first time, saying that she was like 7 years old and she was a small girl and she was with you and all this stuff. Well, I ended up getting a sponsor for a company called My Heritage recently, and they do genealogy and like documents and research. You can research billions of records. And I got bored and I decided to look up Clarabelle Braxton's name just to see if anything would come up. And sure enough, I got one record from a 1950 census of a Clarabelle Braxton who was 7 years old and was an incarcerated inmate at Forest Haven Hospital. And had she not been alive when that census was taken, there would have been no record of her because the census was going around and collecting information on all the residents in town. And she just happened to be alive and in there at that time. But other than that, no records of her exist. So like they were legit. They were right about everything the whole time. And like that attachment and everything, I know this is a very long story, but that attachment like genuinely changed everything about why I do what I do and how I do it.
And you cover that a lot on your channel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of took the bait. I was like, I wanted to ask about it without asking about it. So thanks for talking about it. I didn't know if it was like emotional to bring up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's not at all.
I mean, it's out there.
Yeah, it's a very enlightening and life-changing experience. I'm super grateful for it. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
That's awesome. And when you get to know a spirit that's around you, like if you live with one or you see one at the same place, it's crazy to have people describe that person or that, that spirit that has never like seen that spirit or engaged with that spirit. So I'm glad that you guys were able to help. So she's crossed now. She moved on. Yep. That's amazing. I can't imagine what she must have lived through in those places.
It wasn't good. It really wasn't.
Yeah, it was a rough place.
You've dealt with that stuff, though. You're dealing with one right now.
Yeah.
You have an attachment right now, or you have a guest, I should say?
I always have a guest at my house. That's for sure. Yeah, I have. I live on an old farmhouse, and I have multiple spirits there. It was a big 1,800 acre farm originally, and now it's kind of sectioned up a little bit. But I have one of the main houses on the property from the 1880, and but I still think my favorite, and I think most I changed everything for me was the farmhouse. Um,
Yeah.
I think because of we've been back so many times to the farmhouse, we've got so close with those spirits, and every time we just keep getting so much more evidence, and we didn't look the history up before we went, and we're getting these names and able to verify it with the owners after, and
Well, you can't. That's the thing. The history doesn't exist on that place.
you can't find
It's
it.
being pieced together by the owner slowly.
Yep. And we're finding out information, and then we'll tell the owner about it after, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you know that?"
Yeah.
And it's really really amazing.
Yeah, that is a very special case.
Really
That's
cool.
so cool. That is, a lot of people don't want spirits in their house, but I think, like, I was so excited when I moved in and there was one here because, if you're, I don't know, there's something like, obviously people have some that give them trouble or scare them. Like, people don't want that, obviously, but sometimes they are like that. The spirits are angry because their story's not being told right, or they don't feel like they're being heard and they need to be heard to move on or whatever reason. So I love that you're living at a haunted location. My friend Crystal, she's not in the chat. It might be too late for her, but she lives in a very haunted place as well. So, and she just sent me a video from her Ring camera of a back door opening.
Oh shit.
And then I had to send it to you guys. And then, like, in one, she went back to look through it, as you do, because something weird's happening, right? And there it appears to be like almost like an apparition in the corner. Um, and just she lives in an older part of Texas, so like it's very like active. And then you guys might not believe this, but it is kind of that time of year where things do get more active.
Oh, yeah,
People are
yeah,
seeing
definitely.
grandpa that have never seen grandpa before. Like, it's true about like the veil thinning as we go into the winter months or into fall.
Mhm.
So yeah, but that was kind of funny. And then my other friend, I'm kind of like in a group chat with two weirdos like myself, and they are practicing mediums. I'm a medium, but I don't like actually like do it. Does that make any sense? Like, I can do it, but I don't do it for money and I don't do it as part of my job or anything like that. So we're all in a group chat, and another one, she's like, another one moved into a house in like one of the southern states, and she was saying, I keep hearing a guy scream, and she's telling us this story, and at the very end, you hear some guy just like like in the background, and it doesn't sound like it sounds EVP, if you know what I mean. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
like dude there. They kind of sound different, you know what I mean?
Staticky or like.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a normal like guy screaming.
Mhm.
But right when she ended the voice note, we heard it. So she's living in a place too.
Nice.
But it's, if you are into this sort of thing, like, you kind of like hope for a haunted spot. Like, I haven't had anything mess with my kids. At the last house, there was some residual stuff that was kind of messing with my son, but we moved it and it was fine. But the ghost here, nobody has any problems with. But I love it. What about you? Do you have a ghost at your house, Mike? Are you?
Oh yeah. Plenty of
Do you
them.
guys do you look for that when you're like moving? You're like, this place looks old. I sense a ghost. This is the one.
Honestly, I don't know if it's the places that are haunted or if it's just us.
You attract it.
I think we're haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just wherever
It
we
makes
go, it
sense.
just ends up being haunted because we have stuff following us around from different
Mhm.
places that we just kind of haven't resolved.
Well, people have like our energetic body puts off this stuff, and when you are in tune with that realm that's like kind of embedded in ours in a lot of cases, then you're almost like a little lighthouse, and they just kind of
Mhm.
come to you. Same thing with me. There's always some weird crap happening, and people are like,
Oh yeah.
but it's fun because your friends call when it finally happens to them, like, oh my gosh, so
You're the first person they call.
absolutely anything UFO, occult, scary, paranormal, just anything. They're just like, I saw, like, my favorite one was my friend's like not a believer, and she's just like, I saw my grandpa watching me give the kids a bath, and it was around this time of year, and I was like, 'tis the season, and I'm not talking about Santa, so it's like one of those things where I feel like it's only a matter of time for people to have like these things, or sometimes it's subtle and they won't notice it, but yeah. haunted Mike.
Pretty much.
I'm checking to see. Yeah, I'm just like, you get to a level when you have like all these experiences where it's just part of your life, and I think that these spirits need that. They need people like you guys and us in the world so they can have a way to interact if they need to interact. Because can you imagine being stuck here after you pass? You
I
know,
hope I don't have to.
Yeah.
you made too many spirit friends. They're gonna try and make you stay.
I can just come with me.
Yeah, come on.
Let's go, everybody!
I'll
Runs
go
to the light.
first, so you all can see that it's fine and it doesn't hurt. I'm okay. Come on.
That's pretty cool. Like a lot of people don't talk about that because they're afraid of sounding too woo. So obviously, Quantum Witch Cafe, the woo's welcome here. But I enjoy like the whole like investigative part of it as well, and the science that people are trying to use to capture evidence of these people that are stuck here. What about shadow beings? What are your thoughts on that? Because when I went to Waverly, there was what, the fourth floor, I believe, where it's notorious for like the shadow beings. I think it's the fourth floor. You guys can yell at me if I'm wrong, but it's like I was like having this buildup, right? Like I'm gonna see these shadows and all this stuff. And when I got there, there are shadows, but I was like, they're just hanging out. Like it's like they're just people walking around. So what is your thoughts on shadow beings? Are they similar to like human spirits, or are they human spirits, or are they something else?
I personally think that they are I think they are the residual hauntings from the person who passed away. Maybe, I mean, if he could be here right now, the shadow figures that we're seeing currently are, I mean, all over the place. It's pretty wild. I definitely know the one that you're talking about from Waverly. I personally didn't see it, but
But there's more on that
definitely,
same level. Like there's
yeah,
like that level where what the creeper is supposed to be, right?
the
Like
creeper, yeah,
the whole like it's just like busy. It's like a thoroughfare almost for spirits. It's just
yeah, yeah. I think they're definitely. I mean, I see plenty of shadow figures. I think they're just the energies of the people who passed away. Personally,
that's what I was trying to tell people because people are afraid of it. What about you? Like, what do you think? Do you think that they are?
I mean, I think it could be a mix of things. I think it could be residual energy. I think it could be intelligent. Um, I've never really taken the time to think about like activity that's happening around me and trying to put two and two together of like, okay, is what's happening intelligent or is it residual?
Mhm.
Like trying to make mental notes of, do I see more shadows when it presents itself residual or intelligent? Like, I mean, now it's definitely something I have to think about, but um, I don't know, like tonight, we've been seeing the same shape and the same shadow just every 5 minutes going through the same spot. So that could be residual. It's just
Yeah.
carrying out its final moments of what it knows and what it was doing best or at peace. Um, I don't really see that being intelligent if it's in the same spot over and over
Right.
again. But yeah, I think they're definitely capable of being intelligent. I've seen some wild shadow figures since doing this. Some don't look like shadows.
yeah.
And you said you were not really. So have you always been sort of like clairsentient or empathic towards energies around you, or did this kind of start when you started investigating? Because you said you were like not into this. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you have
Yeah,
early experience as a child or early awareness of like I don't get mad at me for saying spiritual gifts or spiritual capabilities or your ability to sense energies or clairs is what most people would call them, were
yeah.
you aware of that before you started investigating, either of you, or was
Mm,
that something that just kind of like
no,
woke
no.
up as your in ufology there's a famous saying that you study the phenomenon and it studies you, does that
Yeah.
is
I
that
mean,
kind of
I think that's kind of what happened for me personally. I mean, I've always been a fairly spiritual person long before I got into paranormal investigating and creating content and all that stuff. From the age of 10, I've always had, a deep fascination with what happens to us after we die. I think everybody has that question. And I've always been very open minded when it comes to spirituality. So I think that maybe has somewhat of a factor in helping me see and hear and feel the things that I do now because I've always been kind of open to it without realizing I'm open to it until the time presented itself.
Yeah, I think as I've been doing investigating more, I feel like my intuition has, I guess, opened up a little bit more. So I think that could also be, the spirits, if you will, around us, feeling comfortable and realizing or feeling our energies that we have, and maybe wanting to show us more, or wanting to communicate with us more. So I definitely didn't have it before, or at least I didn't notice it before at all. But I definitely feel as we investigate more and more, especially if when I'm investigating with him, I feel like it's more dialed in. But no, I think it's just going to continue to get more and more for us as we go.
Yes, absolutely. I think so. Like in energy work, I took like a pillars of presencing class, like to because I'm trying to figure out like why am I into all this weirdness, right? So I took this whole class, and we learned a lot about kind of like energetic experiences and how they affect your etheric field or your energy field, and something can happen, and it kind of does one of two things, and this could be like a real life event, like trauma or something, or it could be a experience with something paranormal, and it either makes people kind of like close off because it scares them. So their energy just kind of like tightens up, or in other cases, it just blows it out of the water. And from there, they've got all these like little energy feelers everywhere, essentially, that will pick up on more. And the more you make those connections, the more it kind of walks, or it kind of like responds to you, because now you have all these like connections out there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No,
I've been shown it in like medicine journey. I'm trying to explain it. Like I was shown what it looked like through different types of medicine journey. I did ayahuasca in April. I was shown it. Like it's like insane how our energy just is. It's like exactly what you think of, like when you think string theory. You know what I mean? Quantum entanglement and such, and that includes our consciousness and our relationship to these different realms that we're embedded in, including the spirit realm. So
no,
it makes
I agree with you.
all that to say
I
it makes
think,
sense.
no, I think when the opportunity presents itself to you and you're given that moment to make the decision, do you want to be open to this or not? If you screw up, then it's going to be really hard to get your second chance and get your redemption. I think when that moment presented itself to me all those years ago, it scared the hell out of me. I mean, for sure. Like I fucking ran. I won't lie. I heard it and I was like, I froze for a moment and then I started running away because I had never experienced anything like that in my life. But at the same time, like mid run, back my brain was like, I kind of want to know what that was. What was that? And that is what overrode the fear and made me want to go back in and do it. And I think having that moment to sort of accept it made it easier to access it. And I think that goes for anybody. I'm sure anybody listening to this or watching can relate to wanting to have paranormal experiences, but not ever really recalling having one that truly changed them or made them feel like this was real. And that's probably due to underlying fear and, preconceived notions and the way that society conditions us to think about this stuff and feel about it. Plus Hollywood, and Hollywood's screwed everybody in the paranormal. But
For sure.
yeah, I think just being super open to it is the most important thing you could do. And if you get super scared and close yourself off, like you said, it's going to be a long time before that side is willing to let you back in.
Absolutely. Well said. That all makes sense to me. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think you nailed it on the head, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely nailed it. We have one question. We are coming up on the hour. I know you guys have some work to do tonight, so we kind of talked about it a little bit. But do you have any? This is from Sylvain. Do you have any ritual that you do going into each investigation? Like, is there a certain something like that you do before you like go into a house or anything like that?
No, I think just grounding myself, making sure I feel like I'm in a good place. I think if you're not in a good place with yourself and grounded, I feel like they could probably play with your emotions a little bit more. But other than that, I don't think I really have any rituals. Just get to a good spot.
Go in with a clear head. And,
yeah.
Be open-minded and don't go in with any stress or
Don't be
problems
thinking
from
of
the
work.
day. Yeah, don't be thinking of work. Don't think about problems at home.
Right.
If you bring all that stuff in, it's just going to muddy the investigation.
Just be mindful and present, right?
Yeah, mindful, present, and just treat it like fishing. Just go and cast your line and relax and see what happens. But yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I drink a Red Bull. You know,
Oh my gosh.
before I start, because I don't want to have the EVPs ruined by my stomach. But
Is that a demon growling or am I hungry?
Exactly. It's exactly what it sounds like.
yeah, I know. No, I'm just hungry.
Sorry. I just I get like my mind's crazy. So like I see this all like somebody like freaking out like we caught a demon. It's just like no, this fucker didn't eat.
I'm just hungry. Let's get dinner for this.
So that was kind of like my last question. And it's a good segue, kind of like out of the hour, I suppose. Like, what are your favorite like ghost hunting snacks? I know that sounds silly, but like, you gotta have snacks on the way there, right? At least.
I know exactly what I'm going to say about this one. So,
Okay.
cookies. Love cookies.
Survival cookies.
Yeah. And I got to have something crunchy. I need something crunchy to kind of, if I get tired or something, I normally go with chips. I like the sweet chili Doritos or.
I was just thinking of
Yeah,
this.
sweet chili Doritos.
Yeah, it really was. Love with friends.
And I love a Ghost energy drink, but chips, sour things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the sour punch straws.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically everything you would take on a road trip, you bring on a
Yeah,
paranormal.
just kind of
Yeah.
walk through the snack section and just pick one, and then that's on our list.
Whatever sticks out. Anything with a lot of sugar in it to keep us awake.
Mm.
Probably high shoes for me, and that's because of you.
Yeah,
actually, I
that's right.
forgot about them.
Look,
She knows.
And high shoes.
yeah, high shoes, yeah.
David brought a giant bag like 2 investigations ago, and I hadn't seen them in so long. I forgot about them. I'm like, high shoes. This looks familiar. I ate one, and I'm like, David, take
Whole
this bag.
whole bag, and
Yep.
yeah, that was great.
I love high shoes, man. They're really good.
And that's
You can eat them while you're investigating. It doesn't make too much noise either.
Exactly.
I was gonna say you guys are probably like checking your EVP and you're like, that fucker is over there.
Someone's chewing.
I gotta throw this out. Well, guys, so is there anything you didn't get to talk about tonight besides the other thing we're gonna talk about like on a whole another episode? We're taking the whole hour next time. Even though we took the whole hour this time. You know what I mean. What did you not get to talk about that you want people to know about either your work, your website, which is in the description, or paranormal investigating in general?
We do have a new video coming out within the next week. This investigation is us going to Pennhurst and have a few more after that. We are still trying to get a few places filmed and have like 3 or 4 saved up before we put stuff out. So there's going to be a bit of a gap for the next couple of months while we get that stuff worked out, in case anybody's wondering why there's been such a gap lately. Other than that, no. Thank you so much for having us on and the wonderful conversation and getting the chance to meet you and talk about this stuff. It was really cool.
What about you? Anything to add?
I think we have some cool investigations that we're working on, trying to book some cool local spots
Awesome.
as well, because we, like Mike mentioned earlier, the rich history of Maryland.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easy to book some of these locations, like Waverly Hills, like we discussed earlier, or but to go to a place like this, that we're in right now, nice local spot, it has so much history. So
Did you do that?
Yeah.
You guys both just looked at the same time.
So much history, and we just want to learn as much as we can and go to some new locations that people haven't got to see yet. So we got some cool ones coming up.
Very cool. So follow their YouTube. Their website's in the description, so you go there and it will take you everywhere. Go check out their Instagram. If you appreciate photography and videography and spooky things, these are the guys you need to follow.
Thank you.
Hang out after I end the live, and everybody else listening now or later, thank you for joining. like, follow, share, subscribe. Did I say the same thing twice? Maybe. I don't know. But have a great night, everybody. And I'll see you
Thank you.
around.